talking about Outcast Silver Raiders, or OSR. 10-minute overview. Hit the timer. Let's do it. Okay, Silver Raiders was crowdfunded in 2022 to the tune of $90,000 US. It was released in 2023, and in 2024 at the Annie Awards, it was nominated 3 times for Best Production Value, Best Setting, and Product of the Year. It's a game influenced heavily by OSR style of play. It's a medieval cult setting where the monotheistic church rules supreme. The medicine is crude. Rich are rich and getting richer, and might makes right. You play an outcast that is in the search of silver, hence Outcast Silver Raider. As a matter of fact, we'll get into that in just a bit. But anyways, you could run the game in your own setting, but it has its own setting integrated into the game called the Mythic North. It's the actual largest book of the 3 hardcovers that come in a slipcase should you purchase the hardbacks. It also comes with a map of the Mythic North, double-sided, player and GM. The Mythic North book is the thickest, followed by the Referee's Compendium, and then the Player's Guide is the thinnest. You can get all 3 separately on DriveThruRPG, links down below. The magic system, speaking of magic, it's very low magic. Magic is dangerous, it is taboo, it is secret, unknowable. The only class that can cast magic is the sorcerer class, and that is called blood magic. There is also ritualistic magic that anyone can cast. There is a 20-section list in the Referee's Compendium that outlines all the different rites that can be casted as rituals. Speaking of magic, the sorcerer can cast blood magic. The way that the sorcerer does that is each sorcerer has a ritualistic dagger, and they actually inflict damage upon themselves. So they cut themselves, divulging blood. They mouth some command words. If they cannot inflict damage upon themselves or go through the semantic motions and verbal motions, semantic is this, verbal is this. If they can't orate or cut themselves, they cannot cast blood magic. So when they do that, they can determine how potent the blood magic is by sacrificing their own hit points, up to 3. So the potency is up to 3 plus this sorcerer's level. Once they do that, they can choose to do one of 3 things. They can mend, aid, or rend. If they mend, they roll a d4 times the potency to heal the hit points of another person. If they aid, they give a potency bonus to a check before the check is made. So that doesn't make any sense. Give a potency bonus to a check before the check is made. If they spend the potency, they can provide that amount of potency to a check that somebody is going to make. That's the aid. Rend, potency times a d6. So if they spend up to 3 potency, they roll a d6 times that, which hits automatically as long as the target can see them. So that is a targeted, obviously, spell, inflicting that amount of damage. Other magic I mentioned is ritualistic in nature. There are 3 total classes. I mentioned the sorcerer, then there is the rogue, and then there is the warrior. Each one is human-centric. It's a human-centric setting. There is alternate rules that I think in the Referee's Compendium, I believe, that allow you to maybe use other species. I'm not sure. But regardless, if you're looking for the Mythic North, it's all human-centric. Again, you play an outcast. Silver is how you level up. You get 1 experience point per silver piece earned through adventuring. So it's not if you get silver, slaying monsters does not count, okay, for XP, and tending bar does not count for obtaining XP and using it, or obtaining silver pieces using it for XP. It's got to be through adventuring. Each class has a base attack bonus, hit points, or a die type for hit points, saving throw bonuses, and their own skill list. And then something specific to the class. For example, I already mentioned blood magic for the sorcerer. That's the only special thing that they get, but that one special thing gives them 3 options. For rogue, it's luck. Pool of luck points. So each session, the rogue rolls a 1d4 at first level and at the beginning of each session. And those points are allows the rogue to re-roll a check or a save. Any luck points that are unused are gone at the end of the session, and any that are spent are gone for the session. Next session, you get to re-roll the 1d4 again. Sneak attack. They can add twice their stealth modifier on the first attack roll versus a target. If it hits, it deals ×1 plus level of damage, and then after rolling damage and applying modifiers. So in addition to. The warrior gets combat reflexes. What that means is it's basically kind of an advantage roll for initiative. They roll twice for initiative and they take the result of the result of their choice. They don't have to take the best one. And if there is a tie, they win all ties. They also have battle intuition, which means that once per watch, they can perform either a mighty blow or a miraculous escape. A mighty blow is an auto hit. It is plus level for damage on top of everything else. The miraculous escape is against a single target. So if the attack would actually hit the warrior, it misses them. But they must declare it before any rolls. They all share the same experience point table. All right, moving. There's a standard array for abilities: strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, charisma. They have them in a different order, but that's how I remember them. You roll 3d6 down the line. If you add up all the modifiers of your abilities and the total is less than 0, that PC or your soon-to-be character sibling has died before being able to adventure. Roll up another one, do the same thing until you get a character that has a positive modifier overall when you add them all up. If you get too many of those siblings that pass away, they'll have adverse mental conditions. It may take a toll on your player character having to, deal with all that guilt. Once your player character survives their growing up years, you can change out 2 ability scores. And then you commence play. Checks in Outcast Silver Raiders includes, there are 2 things as far as overall mechanics at the forefront of Outcast Silver Raiders: checks and saving throws. Checks are typically related to skill checks. It's a d6 plus your any modifier. If you score a 6 or higher, then you succeed. If you have no chance of failing, you have to roll 2d6, and you will fail should you roll 2 1s or snake eyes. If you have no chance in succeeding, you roll 2d6. If you roll 2 6s or boxcars, you miraculously succeed against all odds. Combat. No, let's get into saving throws. Saving throws are based on the ability and ability modifier. So it's give me a strength save, a dex save, a con save. So you roll a d10 and add the modifier. If you roll a 10 or higher, then you succeed. A natural 10 automatically succeeds. A natural 1 automatically fails. It does not follow the same impossible to fail, impossible to succeed rule as skill checks. In combat, all right, combat breaks out. Pretty typical fantasy tabletop role-playing games. Combat, roll initiative. Initiative is decided upon basically a dex save, right? It's your dex modifier plus your d10 roll. That's based individually. It's not side initiative. And then that order is maintained through the entirety of the combat scene. The actions include combat actions, movement actions, and free actions. You can use a move and a combat, or a combat and a move, but you cannot break up one or the other. Let's see. Movement actions include aim, drop prone, hold action, mention move, stand up. Then attack actions include attack, disengage, draw a weapon, run, whatever, pick up object, throw object. There are attacks of opportunities in Outcast Silver Raiders. The minute your character or a non-player character moves their focus away when you are in melee, that provokes an attack of opportunity. There are no limits to the amount of attacks of opportunity either provoked or drawn upon. That are provoked or acted upon. So if you are in a swarm and they decide to all leave, you can take an attack of opportunity on each one of those individuals. There's no limit like in the 3-5 days when you could only do one attack of opportunity per round. AC is ascending. So you would roll a d20 to plus your strength modifier for melee, plus your dex modifier for missiles for combat to hit. If you score at the armor class or higher, you score a hit, roll damage. Death. 0 HP equals hovering near death. Your character can take no actions, and they must start to make a con save, which is essentially a death save. They need to successfully make a con save, or before they fail 3 con saves. If they fail 3 con saves, then they die. If you take damage and you hit 0 plus your maximum hit points, you die outright. So say, for example, your maximum hit points is 10. You were in a previous combat. You took 3. So your character is sitting at 7 hit points. If the next attack, say, for example, hits you for 17 points of damage, the 7 hits 0, and then neg 10, which is the maximum, you die. Interesting concept around befallen player characters, or what they're called befallen player characters. You can re-roll a new player character and determine whether that the party can determine whether they want to have a glorious remembrance. A glorious remembrance is some way to honor the fallen character, whether it's a funeral, a monument, putting them on a death barge on fire, whatever that is. It takes 1 day per level of the fallen character. Fallen character's 4th level, it's going to take them 5 days to do the ceremony and get everything in order. The party can choose to spend 1 silver piece, and then each silver piece spent gets that new player character gets 1 XP per silver piece spent by the party, up to 25% of the fallen XP's character. So if that character was sitting at 1,000 XP, the most that new character can garner outright is 250 from the party. Heir. The player character can choose one of the retainers to be their heir. So if that player character dies, all their possessions go to the heir. In addition, if they do name an heir during play, they have to pay that retainer much more than they would normally. So they have to actually pay them 50 silver pieces per session. In addition to getting all of their gear when that player character dies, if the heir is the same class, they get 50% XP total of the fallen PC, plus any money given by the group for their glorious remembrance. So in other words, if the retainer's a fighter and I'm a fighter and the player character had 1,000 XP, the new character would get 500 XP to start, plus any of the silver pieces 1-for-1 XP that I have mentioned prior. And so that's how you can start a new player character. If that heir is not the same class, then it is up to 25%, but they can still garner the 1-to-1 silver piece to XP from the party to go up above that. Gear slots. That's how it's done. You get the amount of gear slots your player character for the that align 1-for-1 for your strength. You get as many gear slots as your strength score before being encumbered. And encumbered is -4. You could also be at half speed. You might have to consume double the amount of rations and double the amount of water. Equipment is handled by scarcity checks. So this is like gear dice. And scarcity checks and scarcity is done in the following. Each item has a scarcity rating as well as a time when to roll that scarcity check. The scarcity rating is from D4 to D12. And then, of course, when it calls for you to make a scarcity check, you roll that die type. If it's a 1 or 2, the die type decreases by 1. If you want to allocate different resources amongst player characters, then, of course, you could be at a D6, give your friend some that they don't have anything of, say water, increases theirs to D4, decreases yours by 1, which would be a D4, and going up and down. Also, if you are using a consumable and it can be retrieved in good condition, the referee may opt to allow you to not decrease it, or if you've already rolled it and you've failed, if you go to retrieve it and it is in usable condition, the referee may allow you to increase it back up to where it should be. Let's see. Scarcity, I got everything. Timekeeping is encouraged. There are 6 turns to an hour. There are 4 hours to a watch. There are 6 watches per day. Watches should be kept track of out in the open so that everybody can be aware of that. They mention using dice, chits, or even poker chips out in front so that all the players know how many watches have gone by. There are rules for retainers, movement, exhaustion, navigation, searching, resting, seafaring, and starvation. I'm not going to go into all of those, but that sums up everything for Outcast Silver Raiders. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do me a favor, give me a like and subscribe. If there's a rule that has intrigued you about what I just mentioned, leave a comment down below or leave your favorite emoji. And remember, be a positive force in the tabletop RPG hobby, and I'll check you on the next one. Did I make it? Is there still time on the clock?